that there are folks who have that mindset. One of the things that I think is the beauty and the strength of Chi Alpha is that the majority of our support raising comes from outside of the realm of churches. You're going to find a whole lot more sympathetic ears and people that understand outside of the church versus, folks from a pastorate perspective, unfortunately. So with that, I do think, and I will say this, I think all of us collectively just need to be singing the Chi Alpha song, maybe even just a little louder, hey, this person got saved, this person's doing this is, and we just got to continue to highlight. I believe that what we're doing is making a difference. And we are making a difference, whether you're going to invest in it or not. But I really still believe that there are people who are going to invest in it because of the nature of what we're doing and the power and the stuff that's taking place. So, there are going to be some folks that will never change, but at the same time, there will be pastoral changes and there'll be new visions that will come. And then hopefully the pastors who are with you will up their support to help compensate for those who have kind of gone into the shadows. So, that's the only thing I would say. And I would do more focusing outside of the realm of church structure. Yes, sir.
So just so to make sure I understand. So, just kind of cut our losses at this point?
Well, what are you going to do? There's nothing we can do to change people's minds per se. You're not going to be able to do that if they've got that kind of a mindset. What I would say is if as a district director, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help change the perspective of Chi Alpha in my district. And I'm going to call people out on that kind of stuff. I will tell you this, I'm talking to superintendents on a regular basis, and there are superintendents who are going into the shadows, and I'm going, shame on you. Said, yeah, don't come back when you need us. Don't come back, because guess what? I remember. But I will challenge them. That, man, if ever there was a time for people to verbally get behind Chi Alpha, this is the time. Be a man. Come up. Let's come out of the shadows. I can say that. You can't say that to those guys at this juncture. But if I were your district director, I would do that. And fight for you. And I like I said, on a superintendent level, I'm in a room with a lot of these kinds of folks on a regular basis, and I'm always going to be an advocate to speak up when anybody makes any kind of derogatory remarks. And most of the time, it's stuff they're repeating stuff that they know not of, and unfortunately, sometimes it gets repeated incorrectly. So try to always put the positive spin on it. So. Yeah, so to an extent, there's not really much you can do with those folks. The best way to silence that kind of stuff is raise good, healthy support outside of the realm of the church and kick butt on campus and see people come to faith, right? So, sorry. Yes, ma'am. And this will be the last one, and then we're going to take a pause and go to our next speaker. Sure.
While trying to raise their self-reflection.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Did y'all hear that question? Okay. So working a job, doing support raising. Here's the thing. There does become a point of this thing called faith that you have to kind of take a step. Okay. So meaning this: if you're going to do ministry, and you're believing that God's going to raise support for you to do ministry full time, at some point, you need to make the leap that, boom, I'm no longer going to rely on Starbucks to be my provider. I'm going to step out and really begin to trust. And it's amazing what happens, because when you try to keep your foot in two different places, man, it's often really a bad situation. 100 years ago, I had a young man who his view was he was going to become independently wealthy so that he could do ministry. and he's starting this business, and he's doing all this stuff, and he's going to do that in order to do ministry. And basically, it never worked, number one. Number two, I really believe it didn't work because it was almost like, hey, God, I know you're a provider, but I got this. And it was almost an arrogant thing. And so it was relying on what I would call the arm of the flesh. And at some point, man, you got to step out and you just got to trust and you got to believe. So in support raising, while you're working, it's going to be extra nights, extra time, all that kind of stuff, until you get to the point where, you know what, it's time to launch as far as not relying upon this anymore, and I'm going to trust and believe and all that. I don't believe in just being ignorant and just kind of, we're going to throw all caution to the wind. I'm not advocating for that, but I do believe there comes a point. That's why one of the beauties of campus ministry is you go from a student lifestyle into Chi Alpha. It's a perfect on-ramp, you know? Because as a student, ramen noodle is really cuisine. I mean, it's top of the thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, you step over it, and it's still there, but then all of a sudden you start adding some protein. It's great. And so you work yourself up. Versus if you're employed, some of the hardest times people have had coming into campus ministry are people who have had really good jobs and then leave that to come into ministry. And then that's a little bit more of a life change kind of a thing. But at the same time, if you're making that leap and if God's calling you to that leap, man, I promise He will provide in that. Amen?
Amen.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I want everybody to stand up real quick.